Hello, Dave Tosch, Executive Director, Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. Today I'm with Beth Stipe. Beth is the Executive Director of the North Central Washington Community Foundation. I've gotten to know Beth rather well over the years. I've been at the Senior Center 7 years, and I think she's been here longer than that at the foundation. But we've worked a lot together in the past, and just wanted to chat with Beth a little bit today about what's been going on with the foundation. But before we get into all that, I thought I would ask Beth just to talk a little bit about how the foundation got started, what their mission was, and how maybe that's changed a little bit over the years. But we do have a connection in that Ray Taylor, who was a board member at the Senior Center for a number of years, also got the foundation started about 30 years ago, something like that. So Beth, tell us a little bit about the background.
Well, hi Dave, and thanks for having us on your show. Super exciting. We love to be part of these wonderful opportunities to share about what the Community Foundation does, and also to talk a little bit about the Senior Center, which is also a great organization in the community. The Community Foundation of North Central Washington was started in 1986. It was first known as the Wenatchee Community Foundation, and it was started from the sale of the Chelan County Medical Blue Shield plan. So Ray Taylor, as you mentioned, was the first CEO and director of that organization. It was started with a $2.1 million gift of the assets of the Chelan County Medical. And over the last 35 years, it's grown to a corpus of over $100 million, which I think is a great story to tell in itself, because all of those dollars are local dollars. They come from individuals like you and me and people who just care about this region. It's not government money, it's not money from Bill Gates, but it's just people in our local community that want to make sure that there are charitable resources available for future generations. So I think that's a great story to tell.
Well, and I have some personal history with regard to what the foundation has done for the Senior Center. I know we've obtained several grants over the years that have been very, very helpful to us. And, we have a large endowment here that has accumulated over the years. And we get a nice dividend once a year that's very helpful to the Senior Center. And so the foundation has been very, very helpful to the Senior Center over a long period of time.
Well, that's the whole purpose of the Community Foundation our mission is to grow, protect, and connect charitable gifts in support of strong communities. And so endowment management is one of the core purposes of the foundation, for people to be able to leave a permanent charitable endowment to benefit the causes and the things that they care about in perpetuity, just like the Senior Center.
Yeah, and we're just one nonprofit in the North Central Washington area, which encompasses quite a wide territory. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the number of nonprofits and geographically the area that you cover.
Yes, so we serve Chelan, Douglas, and Okanogan counties, and that's about 10,000 square miles. And so that, of course, has multiple communities which have varying needs and lots of individuals who have varying interests. And so one of the great things about the foundation is that we can customize a gift plan for any individual to really target the areas that they want to support. And the way that we look at it is that it takes all of us to make an impact in our region, and that each of us have our varying interests, but combined, we can really make this community strong and the quality of life for all ourselves and for future generations even better if we all give a little.
Well, again, I have some personal experience with how you go about this process, and it was several years ago. We were raising money to replace our roof on the Senior Center, and we participated in the campaign and got a very, very nice donation. And once it was all said and done, it helped significantly with that project. And so I'm a believer.
I remember that too. That was a large donation that came in specifically for the roof campaign.
I don't think if it weren't for this campaign that we would have got that particular donation. So I believe that.
Well, and it's really great because we use the talented Jennifer Dolge, who does our marketing and communications. And so along with the platform to allow people to easily make contributions to one or more organizations using their credit card online, very easy transactions, we're able to go out and market and to help people to know that there are these great projects and programs happening in their backyard that maybe they weren't aware of. And so that's a pretty cool thing that we think is almost as valuable as the dollars that come in.
Well, we plan on helping you with our marketing.
We appreciate
our
that.
Facebook page, and I know a lot of the nonprofits are going to do that.
Yeah.
Get the word out. And it's
we find that those organizations who actually do engage in working to market it to their donors and to friends of their organizations do much better than those who are inactive participants. So good on you for doing that, Dave.
We always want to help,
yeah.
And I really believe in doing that kind of thing for other nonprofits and working together, not competing.
Many hands make light work is what they say,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so anyway, for those of you listening in, pay attention. You'll be seeing a lot of advertising for this, and the Senior Center is just one of the participants in the campaign. But I think it's good for folks to get online, check it out, see what all the nonprofits are up to and what their needs are. Our particular case at the Senior Center, we're trying to raise some additional money to help take care of the cost of this program that we're doing on TV. Obviously, there's a lot of technical and professional help that we need, and so we're hoping to gather a few more resources to take care of those expenses. This year anyway.
Well, we're really excited to hear about the work that the Senior Center is doing, and it's been really cool to hear about the way that you've pivoted your organization to outreach and to connect with those folks who used to be able to come in and share a meal and participate in your programs, and so that's no longer an option, and rather than just rolling up the carpet, you decided, hey, how can we do this differently and still keep those connections in place? And so kudos to you for doing that work.
Yeah. Let's just change subject just a little bit here. I know that there's a lot of change here in the community and how the pandemic has affected nonprofits, and I'm sure that you get this firsthand. Can you talk a little bit about what some of the challenges are? Is there some general things that obviously people have had to close, organizations have had to close and adjust, but anything that kind of runs through the theme here as to what are the challenges that these nonprofits are facing? Any particular themes?
Well, definitely, and I think that the Senior Center is right up there with other organizations in the fact that most of our organizations provided some sort of a service that connected people, whether it's an arts organization that provided a performance where we gathered together, whether it was a meal at the Senior Center where we gathered together, whether it was working out at the YMCA where we gathered together. Well, none of those things are happening now, and they haven't been happening for 9 months. And when you start looking at organizations whose mission is, in a lot of ways, to bring people together, and that's stripped away from the ability of those organizations to do that core work, it's been really challenging, I think, for institutions to think about how they can rework their mission in a way that is viable and effective. And I think we haven't even started to scratch the surface of what that looks like moving forward. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, I remember when the first stay-at-home order came down in March, and I remember going online and looking at all of those great airline deals, and I was like, I'm going to go to Maui in May because surely we'll be all done with this by then. And here we are, and it's Thanksgiving, and it's a different world that we're living in. And so, one of the things that the foundation has done in conjunction with our crowdfunding campaigns and the shift that we've done there, is we've built a new competitive grant making program. Used to be, as I mentioned earlier, we would only give to 25 organizations. We would do it once a year. And so the board at their year-end meeting said, business as usual doesn't work in this environment. We have to look at things differently, and we have to change the way that we're doing our work, just like all of our colleagues throughout the region and throughout the country are changing the way that they do their work. And so we implemented what we're calling our Reemergence Grants program, and instead of doing those once a year, we're doing those 4 times, so there's a rolling deadline. So as organizations work through their strategies and plans on how to do business differently, they have access to some resources when they're ready instead of when we dictate that we're ready. So it's been, we've done our first round of those grants, and we'll do 3 more throughout the course of the year. And so the board has shifted as many resources as we can into our crowdfunding campaigns of this year. We have 3, whereas before we would have only had 2. And then we're going to shift those dollars into those reemergence grants as well. Okay. And also our Helping Hands grants, which are specific to safety net programs, because they're seeing huge increases in the demands on their services as well.
So I know, Beth, the foundation has done a lot in providing scholarships for students in the area. And I can only imagine with school not ongoing like normal, that would be a great example for you to talk about and how you're dealing with that kind of an environment right now.
Yes, so again, when the stay-at-home orders happened in March, we had just finished our scholarship program. So all of the applications had come in, they were out to the committees, and then we had to start awarding those. And last year, we gave the most scholarships ever. Over $600,000 in scholarships went out, although they didn't quite go out because, as we know, a lot of schools didn't reopen and they went to online programming. And so a lot of students have decided that that's not the kind of learning environment that they want to participate in. And so we've had to give deferrals to a lot of our students for last year's scholarship program to allow them to take a gap year, whereas normally we don't allow that. So we had to go, in some cases, back to donors, and in other cases, our board had to give the ability for us to give that leeway to those students who chose maybe not to go to school this year in hopes that they could go next year and to still be able to utilize those dollars. And now we're back at it. So this is the time of year at the foundation where we're getting ready to launch our scholarship application. It goes live in January, and we have over 3,000 applications that came in last year. It'll be very interesting to see what happens this year. We're working with the high schools, but things are very different. Normally the counselors would be able to, holler at some kid going down the hall, "Hey, you haven't done your scholarship application, get on in here." And now that's not a possibility. Fortunately, all of our scholarship applications are online, so we're doing some videos similar to kind of what you're doing, trying to get that out. Hopefully, folks who are watching this show who have grandchildren or children who are seniors this year will go to our website and check it out. We have well over 100 different scholarships available for students. No 2 are alike. And it's a great process. A student will go in and they'll fill out a survey or a quiz that talks about where they go to high school, what kind of GPA they have, if they have a particular field of study that they are going to, or a particular university. We have lots of COOG scholarships, if you can imagine. And so they fill that out, and then our system says, here are all the different scholarships you could be qualified for. They fill out their application, and it automatically puts them into those scholarships that they qualify for. So it's a pretty slick deal. And so we encourage everybody to go and check it out. And those are going to be due the first part of March, but the application will be available January 1st. So as kids are still home for their holiday break, they can get all this work done. And be ready to go and not have to think about it again. So we really encourage that from happening.
Well, I think the last thing I would like to talk about is the program that we're doing right now and how all this is working. And I think a lot of you have listened to a few of the broadcasts that we've had so far. Our goal with all of this is, one, to stay connected with the senior community. It's been rather difficult to do that. We have our newsletter every month, we have a web page, we have Facebook, and we're trying to do the best we can there. But I think these shows every week is a new show, and that would include the exercise, the 1 hour exercise show, Vibrant Motion, and then our 1/2 hour variety show, which is the Vibrant Living. I think that's one way we can really stay connected with our senior community, but also to promote the senior center so that once we do reopen, there's more people in the community that are aware of what all we do. And that is another goal of these programs. But again, as I mentioned earlier in the program, we are looking for help to take care of the expense of doing this professionally. And I think the feedback that I've been getting from folks, they're very impressed with the quality of the production that we're doing. And so when you get time and get online and find the GiveNCW, think about the senior center and what we're trying to do for the seniors. And maybe you can talk just a little bit more about the technical part of doing this.
Absolutely. So a couple things. If you want to give online and use a credit card, all you need to do is go to GiveNCW.org, and that will load up the page, and you can see all of the different nonprofits, and you can search for and find the Wenatchee Valley Senior Center, and you can easily put in a donation of any amount of $10 or more. And then it's a quick, easy checkout. If you decide to give to more than one organization, you don't have to put your credit card in more than one time. It's really kind of slick that way. And we're gonna have some fun games and prizes. So there'll be certain days that if you give on that day, you could potentially be drawn to win some money to give to your favorite organization. Maybe it's the senior center. Maybe you want to split it with a couple of other ones. So that's super fun. But also we want to let people know that if you're uncomfortable giving online, we always will accept a check, and we'll add that into the campaign for the organizations that you designate. Or you can decide to give to all, and we'll share that with all 60 organizations. So, and the address for those checks, that if you want to mail them, can be found at cfncw.org.
Okay. And we will publicize all this in our newsletter upcoming here, the December newsletter, and you will receive that newsletter on Thanksgiving weekend. So
that's wonderful.
We'll just remind you of that. Well, Beth, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I think this is very timely information, and I think folks will really come to understand a little more about what the foundation does for our community.
Well, thank you. And we're super excited that you came down to visit us and that you wanted to hear a little bit more about the foundation.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.